So, what we're going to start by doing is just kind of giving you guys an overview of the legislature, okay? Now, it's really the overview is all you need to know to get into some good trouble, okay? Understanding just the basics of how things work and how we can get in the way of what they're trying to do is what our objective is. So, we are going to start by talking about our state legislature. Obviously, here we have the legislative branch, which is made up of our state house and state senate. And then we have the executive branch, which is the governor's office. And the judicial branch, we're just not even going to talk about because they don't really pertain to what we're talking about today. If you are not familiar with the layout here, that is our state capitol, the big beautiful building there. Over to the left is the War Memorial Building, which is where a lot of the legislators' offices are. And then underneath this plaza area is Legislative Plaza, which is where most of the committee hearing rooms are, okay? So part of getting into good trouble is learning all of this and understanding how to get there and how to get into those committee rooms. All right, so let's talk about the legislative branch. The General Assembly is sort of like Congress, okay? And then you have the Senate and then you have the House. The Speaker of the Senate, his name is Randy McNally. And then Speaker of the House, Beth Harwell. I'm sure everybody is familiar with Ms. Harwell. And then you see the Speaker Pro Tem, the Deputy Speaker on both sides. Then you have the Majority Leader and the Minority Leader in the House and in the Senate. And then we also have caucus leaders. So just so you know, in case you're curious, the majority leader is generally the person that's most in charge of sort of the political stuff that happens on the floor in terms of legislation. And the caucus leader is more of the person that deals with the politics of it, the fundraising and finding people to run for office and so forth. All right, so what we're going to talk about next is how a bill becomes a law. And I don't know about you guys, but I first learned about how a bill becomes a law from a Schoolhouse Rock video.
Yes. Woo, you sure gotta climb a lot of steps to get to this Capitol building here in Washington. Well, I wonder who that sad little scrap of paper is.
I'm just a bill, yes, I'm only a bill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. Well, it's a long, long journey to the capital city. It's a long, long wait while I'm sitting in committee, but I know I'll be a law someday. At least I hope and pray that I will, but today I am still just a bill.
Gee, Bill, you certainly have a lot of patience and courage.
Well, I got this far. When I started, I wasn't even a bill. I was just an idea. Some folks back home decided they wanted a law passed, so they called their local congressman, and he said, "You're right, there ought to be a law." Then he sat down and wrote me out and introduced me to Congress, and I became a bill. And I'll remain a bill until they decide to make me a law. I'm just a bill, yes, I'm only a bill, and I got as far as Capitol Hill. Well, now I'm stuck in committee, and I'll sit here and wait while a few key congressmen discuss and debate whether they should let me be a law. I hope and pray that they will, but today I am still just a bill.
Listen to those congressmen arguing. Is all that discussion and debate about you?
Yeah, I'm one of the lucky ones. Most bills never even get this far. I hope they decide to report on me favorably, otherwise I may die.
Die?
Yeah, die in committee. Oh, but it looks like I'm going to live. Now I go to the House of Representatives and they vote on me.
If they vote yes, what happens?
Then I go to the Senate and the whole thing starts all over again.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And if they vote for me on Capitol Hill, well, then I'm off to the White House where I'll wait in a line with a lot of other bills for the president to sign. And if he signs me, then I'll be a law. How I hope and pray that he will. But today I am still just a bill.
You mean even if the whole Congress says you should be a law, the president can still say no?
Yes, that's called a veto. If the president vetoes me, I have to go back to Congress and they vote on me again, and by that time you're so
By that time, it's very unlikely that you become a law. It's not easy to become a law, is it?
No, but how I hope and pray that I will. But today I am still just a bill.
He signed your bill. Now you're a law.
Oh, yes.
So the crazy thing is that is pretty much how it works at the congressional level and at the state level. Now in your packet, you have a much more elaborate version of this, okay? You don't have to get it out now, you can look at it later if you want, but it looks like a crazy flow chart for like some kind of software development, okay? Because there are a lot of steps, but for the purposes of what we're talking about today and what you guys need to understand about how we can kind of get in the way of getting bills passed, I've sort of distilled it down into kind of how a bill becomes a law for dummies. So basically, it's going to follow the same path in both the House and the Senate. The difference is on the House side, most of the committees have a subcommittee. So what happens is a bill is introduced, it's referred from the House floor to a subcommittee. It gets to a subcommittee. They will present a discussion on the bill. They'll have a vote on the bill. If the bill is voted on favorably, then it will move to the full committee. And from the full committee, it will go to the calendar committee, which are the people who decide when to put it on the floor calendar to vote on it. And then the House will have a vote. The same thing happens on the Senate side, except they don't have subcommittees. So it's the same basic process. And if the Senate goes through all that and they vote on the bill, then it goes to the governor. And then the governor has a couple of options. The governor can sign the bill and it will become a law. The governor can choose to not sign a bill and allow it to become a law. The governor can choose to not sign a bill, and then the House and Senate can try and override it. So for example, last year, two things that were interesting that sort of applied to this is we passed a law last year to allow faculty and employees to carry guns on college campuses. And really what I should say is to force colleges to allow faculty and employees to carry guns on college campuses because none of them wanted it. And the governor knew that that was a terrible bill, but rather than veto it, he just let it become law without a signature, okay? Now, on the other hand, we had a lot of debate, you guys might remember, about whether or not we should make the Bible the state book of Tennessee. And the House and Senate voted to make it the state book of Tennessee, and the governor vetoed it, and so it went back to the House and Senate, and they had a very spirited debate and ultimately did not have enough votes to pass that. That was quite an interesting debate. I don't know if any of you guys got a chance to watch any of that, but basically that's how it works, okay? It's fairly straightforward. Let's talk about committees, because committees are very important. The main reason that committees are important is because the bill has to make it through committee, right? It has to make it through committee on both the House side and the Senate side. Especially on the House side where you have smaller subcommittees, you have a better opportunity if you have a bill that you want to get passed, or if you're trying to kill a bill, you have a better opportunity of affecting that change at the subcommittee level. And if you don't have any luck at the subcommittee, then you maybe have a chance in the full committee. So the way that we can get involved and try and affect change there is to contact committee members in advance of the hearing. So if you see that a certain bill that you think is a bad bill is getting ready to go to the House Civil Justice Subcommittee, what you can do is find out who is on the House Civil Justice Subcommittee and contact them and let them know how you feel about that bill. Also very important is showing up, attending committee hearings. You see here we have a bunch of folks from Americans for Prosperity, and you see they all show up, they all have their shirts on, they look like this very powerful group, and they fill up hearing rooms. Unfortunately, on our side of a lot of these issues, we don't have that same level of attendance at committee hearings, okay? And so we really need to step that up, because that is very powerful. If you are a legislator and you're sitting up on the dais and you look out and there's standing room only of people giving you the stink eye, that is intimidating, okay? And it's important that we do that. Also, witnesses are allowed to testify on particular bills. Now you can't just show up and testify, you have to make arrangements, but they listen to expert witnesses, but they also will listen to members of the community who have a strong feeling about a bill. So if you feel strongly about it, you can contact the committee chairperson, explain who you are. I'm a Tennessean, I'm a voter, and I feel strongly about this bill and I'd like the opportunity to testify. So those are all ways that you can get into these committee hearings and kind of get in the way, okay? All right, so here's something that's also very helpful. This is the state legislature's website. It is both sort of easy to use and also not so easy to use. So we're going to go over just some basics. But if you really dig in and kind of figure it out, it can be incredibly useful. So what you can do with the website is you can find out who your legislators are. Okay, you can find out their contact information, what bills they're sponsoring, and what committees that they're on. Okay, that's important. And you can also view weekly schedules and view committee and floor session calendars. So you're able to go in and sort of figure out what's going on in a particular week. Now up here you'll see this button that says My Bills. So what you can do through the website is actually create your own account. You go in, you put in your email, you create a password for yourself, and then you're able to create a list that you choose yourself of bills that are of interest to you. And then every day or every week or whenever you can go and check, and it will give you kind of an update of where those bills are, how they're progressing on the House side and how they're progressing on the Senate side. But so that's very helpful. And when you go into legislation, that's where all the bill stuff is. You can search by bill number, you can search by topic, you can search by keyword. So if you're really interested in bills that have to do with reproductive rights or immigration or abortion or criminal justice, whatever, you can go through and search and look through all those bills, okay? This is what happens when you pull up a particular bill. And what you can learn from this screen is who the co-sponsors of the bill are. So this is SB 0030 by Bowling. That's Senator Janice Bowling. She's the Senate sponsor. Underneath that you see Show Co-Prime Sponsors. So if you want to see who her Senate co-sponsors are, you can click on that and it would tell you. Then beneath that you see HB 0033 by Reagan. Okay, that's the House companion bill. Okay. So you get all that information. You can get the bill summary, which is this part right here. And this particular bill, it's a beauty. As introduced, requires that the words husband, wife, mother, and father be given their natural and ordinary meaning without forced or subtle construction that would limit or extend the meaning of the language and that are based on the biological distinctions between men and women, except when a contrary intention is clearly manifest. Okay, that's a fun bill, isn't it? So what you can also do, so that's the bill summary, then you can also look at the actual bill. So if you would click on that SB 0030, you click on that and you will get a PDF version of the actual bill that you can read yourself. And I'll warn you, I don't know if you've ever read legislative bills, but it is kind of like reading another language. They're very legal, they're written in legalese, so they might be a little hard to read, but they're still worth looking at. You can print them off, you can, save them, whatever. You can look at amendments to the bill. So as the bill progresses through committee, they might make some changes to it, and those are all tracked. You can look at archived video where the bill was discussed. You can look at, and this is very important, the fiscal note. Do you guys know what a fiscal note is? Anybody? All right, so a fiscal note is basically how much implementation of a bill or a law would cost, okay? And that is very important because you can kill a lot of bills by pointing out how expensive they are, okay? And in a state like ours, you can try and appeal to people's better nature, and this is a hate-filled bill and it's very discriminatory, it would hurt people. And they don't care about all that. If you can say, you know what, passing this could cost us $1.2 billion in federal funding, at least some of them will go, maybe we need to rethink this, okay? So that fiscal note is very important. And those usually come on a little bit further as the bill progresses. And then at the end, you can see the votes. So you can go in and you can see how the votes went down in the committees and on the floor, so you can see who voted for and against the bill. So this is really useful. It's one of those things that you really just need to kind of get in there and play with and get comfortable with, and then it can be a really useful tool. All right, so schedules and calendars. Schedules mean and it's confusing a little bit because schedules mean the schedule of committee meetings and floor sessions, okay? So over here what you have is a calendar, and this is for this past week. So what you can see is each day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you can click on that and you can see when all the committees are meeting, okay? And then if you actually click on that, one of those committee things, you get a list of information about that committee and about what is on their calendar for the day. Because calendars, and this is what's confusing, I would think that it would be the other way around, but what a calendar is basically is sort of the agenda of what is going to be discussed in a particular committee. Understanding the calendars, okay? So as I said, this is sort of an agenda of what they're going to be discussing in a particular committee hearing. So this is the Commerce and Labor Committee calendar. So what you see up there is the date of when they're supposed to meet, where they're meeting, and then who the committee members are, okay? And then you have the agenda, which is the list of all the bills that they're going to hear that day. Now, what is important, some pro tips about going to committee hearings, get there right away, get there early, because the first couple of minutes of the hearing, they will go through the bills, and a lot of times they will roll a bill, which means they will put it off for a week or two, or the bill sponsor may ask to have the bill rolled to the heel of the calendar. And what that means is they want it to be heard at the very end of the committee hearing. So it might be, it might be this number 2 bill, this SB 0127, and Senator Green might come in and say, I would like to roll that to the heel of the calendar, and so it won't be heard until the very end. So every time I go to a committee hearing, as soon as they gavel, you get your agenda out and you make notes, because sometimes they will roll your bill right off the bat and you can just go on and leave. But you don't want to miss that, because then you sit there the whole time and you're like, when are they going to hear my bill? So that's sort of how the calendars work. Now, this is the important part, okay? This is how you can really get in the way, okay? We talked about how the process works, how bills become laws, how the legislature works. Now we're going to talk about how to communicate with your legislators, okay? Emails, phone calls, appointments, and most importantly, letters. Emailing your legislator. First of all, one thing that's very important to remember is, as a Tennessean, everybody in here has a right to contact any legislator that they want about any issue that they want, okay? But here's the sad reality. They really don't care unless you're a constituent. Keep your email focused to a single issue, okay? If you have a legislator that represents you that has a whole string of just horrendous bills, if you write them a long, lengthy email detailing everything that they've ever done that you disagree with, they're not going to read it, okay? You focus on one bill at a time and you stick to it. You keep your email focused on an issue that your legislator is sponsoring, voting on in committee, or will be voting on in a floor session. So if your legislator is Janice Bowling, and you're upset about a bill that it's not in her committee, she's not sponsoring it, and it's not anywhere close to being voted on in the session, she doesn't really care, okay? So you want to keep it focused on things that pertain to them. Provide specific reasons why you support or oppose the bill. And a lot of times the advocacy groups that do a lot of the work, they will have information on their websites or maybe in emails that you get where they will kind of give you some specific reasons. You don't have to get into a lot of elaborate detail, but you don't want to just say, I think this bill sucks, right? Like, that's not effective. You want to say, I think this bill is discriminatory and I think it could lead to this, and I think it could have a negative economic impact, and I think that you should consider not voting for it. Be clear and firm, but do not be rude or use obscenities, okay? Because again, they will just delete that, and they won't even, most of the time the legislators don't even read these emails, their staffers do, and they will forward the good ones on, or the ones they think are worth looking at. If it's just, you're terrible and I'm sick of you and blah, 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 they just delete that, okay? So just, don't want to waste your time. Always refer to a bill by its bill number, okay? That's very important. So you say, I have, dear Senator Bowling, I'm writing to you today about SB 033. I think it's a discriminatory bill. I think it is dangerous. I think it would have negative economic impact. I think that you should consider not sponsoring that bill, or, we'll oppose it or whatever, but refer to it by its number. And again, always note that you're a constituent and sign every email with your name and your address so that they know that you are a voter in their district. Calling your legislators, okay? This is important. Ring their phones off the wall, okay? That's what happened with Corker and Alexander. Now, they still voted for Betsy DeVos, but you know what? A warning bell was rung, okay? And they know what they're up against. We can do the same thing to our legislators here. Ring their phones off the wall. Now, here's the thing. Always be polite to whoever answers the phone. This time of year, the person answering the phone most likely is a college intern, okay? They may or may not even know about a bill. They may not support the bill. The last thing you need to do is yell at some 22-year-old political science major from MTSU, okay? Or if it's the legislative aide that works for the legislator, they are the gatekeeper, and they are also somebody that you don't want to piss off, okay? Because they have a lot of say as to what gets through to the legislator. Again, always refer to the bill by its bill number. Always note that you are a constituent. Ask the person that you're speaking with to please pass your message on to the legislator, and always end the call politely. Now, what's important about this is, when I talk to people about calling legislators, they're like, oh, I'm nervous about doing that. What if they ask me questions and I might get tongue-tied? And I say, listen, let me tell you how a phone call with your legislator's office goes, okay? They answer and they say, good morning, Senator Steve Dickerson's office. And I say, my name is Beth Jocelyn Roth. I'm a constituent of Senator Dickerson, and I'm very concerned about SB 033. He's going to be voting on it in committee. I think it's dangerous. I think it's discriminatory, and I think it would have a negative economic impact in our district and in our state. And I would appreciate if you would consider voting no. And she'll say, okay, thank you. I will pass it on. And you say, thank you very much. Have a nice day. That's it. Literally, that's it. 30 seconds, okay? And they literally have tick marks, and they keep track of that, and then they hand that stuff over, okay? But don't be intimidated or afraid to call, because it's easy, okay? All right, meeting with your legislator. You can drop in, but if you drop in, you're never gonna see them, okay? When the session is going on, they are very busy. There are committee hearings all day, every day. They are in meetings, and they really are not going to take time out to meet with somebody who just dropped in, okay? But you can still just drop in if you want to leave a letter or whatever. But what works best is to schedule an appointment. So you call their office, you tell them that you are a constituent and that you would like to schedule an appointment to meet with the legislator, and they'll look at their calendar and they will get back to you and they will find you a time. When you show up, be on time for your meeting, okay, because they are very limited. They probably will only give you maybe 10 or 15 minutes because they are very busy. So you don't want to eat up any of that time by being late. And be polite to the staff. So when you get in there and the intern's there and the legislative aide is there, you're very polite. Hello, I'm so-and-so, I'm here. It's, have a nice day. That's a lovely dress that you're wearing. Whatever, be polite, never hurts. Again, when you're speaking with the legislator, refer to the bill by number and be prepared to present the reasons that you oppose or support it. So again, you can't just say, I think that this SB 33 is a terrible bill. You have to go into the reasons why you think it's a bad bill. Stay focused on the bill. Again, it's not a time to go in there and have now is the time of airing of my grievances with you, Senator Dickerson, because we don't have a lot of time to discuss that, and I'm here to talk about one bill, and this is what the bill is, and this is why I'm concerned about it. So stay on point. And at the conclusion of the meeting, ask them how they plan to vote, and let them know that you will be following the bill. Let them know that you're going to be keeping them accountable. And don't hesitate to call back if they vote the wrong way, and call back and say, hey, I'm really disappointed that you voted that way. I'm your constituent. You represent me. I came in, I talked to you, I told you how I felt, and you didn't vote for the bill, and that's disappointing. Writing your legislator. Now, who in here would believe me if I said the most effective way to communicate with your legislator is writing a handwritten letter, right? So what is interesting is I've talked to Congressman Cooper about that, and he says that in Congress, when they get a handwritten letter, he's like, it is like this rare event where people are like, look at this, I got a handwritten letter from a constituent, and they always read them. My mom, who worked was a staffer at the legislature for years and years and years, said that anytime they got a handwritten letter, or even if it's typed up and it's in an envelope that's handwritten, that those always go on the stack of the legislator's business for the day. Because that takes a lot, it takes a little bit of extra effort, and they pay attention to that. Now, don't be intimidated and think, oh my God, I'm going to have to write the Magna Carta, it's going to be this long dissertation. No, it doesn't. It can be the same thing that you would write in an email, okay? But the fact that you type it up and print it out and put it in an envelope and mail it to them is what makes the difference. Now, you can send them letters, you can send them postcards, you can do whatever, but that is by far the most effective way to communicate. So, I would suggest going and buying a bunch of postcards and just buying some stamps, and when the mood hits you, you have them right there. But that is the most important way to communicate. And again, the same principles apply. Be polite, stick to the point, reference the bill by number. All right, so here's something else that's important. I'm going to try and get through the rest of this real quick. Say thank you, okay? We have a handful of Democrats in our state legislature, okay? They have a super majority, we have a super minority, okay? There are not very many of them. And for the most part, they're down there shouting into the abyss. They're representing us. Most of the time, we're not really supporting them. We're just hoping that good will prevail. And they're down there fighting this fight, and there's nobody really there supporting them. So I don't know if you guys have been following, but the last couple of weeks, we've been having these amazing rallies We're calling them Moral Mondays, kind of after what they're doing in North Carolina. We're calling it We Are Watching to let them know that we're following these bills and we're going to hold them accountable. Last week, the legislators came, the Democratic House Caucus, they all had a meeting in the library adjacent to the House chamber. When they came out, they had written their own signs that said fight and keep watching us and we work for you. And they came out and everybody cheered. They were high-fiving everybody. I mean, really, it was sort of emotional. I mean, I'm kind of a sap. But to see them so grateful to us and to see us so grateful for them was really amazing. And at the end of the day, legislators, politicians, they're like anybody else. Everybody likes to feel appreciated, right? Everybody likes to feel that their hard work is appreciated. So when you see a legislator that files a good bill, send them a quick email and say, hey, Senator Garbo, that's an awesome bill that you filed. Thank you for doing that, right? It doesn't have to be a long thing. Or call and tell their staff person that, because believe me, they get so many unpleasant calls and emails that when you can call and say something pleasant, they're very appreciative of that. And as we talked about before and over and over again, it is important to show up, okay? Show up in committee hearings, show up at rallies. Thursday night, there were 2 town halls that legislators sponsored and the one that Diane Black had out in Murfreesboro. We had protesters at every single one of them. They got in the way. They stirred up some big trouble. The May Beavers, Mark Cody, was just unbelievable. They ran out pretty much with their tails between their legs, okay? And the Diane Black thing was on CNN all day yesterday, okay? So showing up is important. You don't have to go to every single thing, but pick a few things and go, okay? All right, so let's talk quickly about how to amplify your voice. So you have made your voice known, you're sending emails, you're showing up at committee hearings, but you want to amplify that. So ways that you can do that through social media, right? Take a picture of yourself and your friends at the legislature and post it on social media. Look at us showing up. Look at this is what democracy looks like. Look at us at this rally. I'm taking pictures at this rally. Look at all these people. This is great. You should come next time, okay? Letters to the editor. In your packet is a guide on how to write an effective letter to the editor. So if you write a good letter to the editor, and there are guides to how to write them well, you have an opportunity to influence somebody that you might not even know, okay? So that's great. Communicate with the media, okay? The media right now, they are loving all of this resistance. They are loving all of the town halls with people getting angry. They love that stuff, right? So don't be afraid to just tweet to Chris Bungard at Channel 2 News and say, hey, me and 4 or 5 of my friends are going to go down to Representative Harwell's office and drop off a stack of postcards from some friends of ours if you want to come and meet us there. And you might be surprised that a lot of times they will actually show up, and then that will be on TV, and then other people will see that, right? Which is fantastic. Tell your friends and family. Tell people that you know what you're doing. A lot of people are sort of dabbing their toe into the activism pool. They're not quite sure if they want to jump in, but if they see that other people are doing it and they see the positive impact that it's having, then they might jump in, okay? So in my other life, I run a gun violence prevention called the Safe Tennessee Project. 2 years ago, we were trying to fight the Guns in Parks bill, okay? So I kept tweeting to Rachel Maddow, right? Because I like Rachel Maddow, who doesn't, right? And I was like, are you following? This is crazy. And I would kind of tweet her updates. And I mean, it really became kind of a joke that I was just sort of tweeting out into the, into the ether. Until one night, I was sitting at my kitchen island doing some work, and lead story, Rachel Maddow, this ridiculous gun bill in the state of Tennessee, right? So you can do that. If I can do that, you guys can do that, okay? So don't ever underestimate the power that your voice has, the power social media has. All right, so now what? Use social media to share events and activities related to political action. So when we have those lists of all the different activities that are going on and we post it or we share it on Facebook, share it with your friends so that they see it too. There are the DCDP page, there's We Are Watching on Facebook. They're doing a lot of this kind of stuff, organizing and getting people to different events. And when you see them talk about stuff, share it. Share it to your friends and your groups. Have a letter writing party at your house. Invite some friends over. Get a bottle of wine, order some pizza, have a bunch of postcards ready to go, and write some letters. Participate in Train the Trainer training. So one of the things that we want to do is take kind of what we're doing here and teach you how to do it. And then you can have 3 or 4 of your friends over. We'll give you a PowerPoint presentation. We'll give you PDFs of all these documents, and you can train your friends. And you can do that with your friends and neighbors, your faith group, or any other like-minded group that you might be a part of, okay? Challenge your friends to write, call, and meet you at the plaza, okay? The Ice Bucket Challenge, that was a big deal, right? Everybody got into the Ice Bucket Challenge. I got tagged to do that. I didn't do that. I'm not pouring ice water on myself. I did make a donation. But what if you challenge your friends? Hey, I'm going to take an action every day, and I'm going to challenge you, and you to do it. And people sort of will get sucked into that, and they'll be like, all right, well, I'll do it too. And set a goal to take some type of action of resistance every single day. So every one of you make that commitment to yourself. Now that can mean an email, that can mean making a phone call, it can mean showing up, even just one little thing. Now, in conclusion, I have a video I'm going to show you of my friend Mark Ruffalo, who I adore.
Do what you can. Do what little bit. I always tell myself, and this is something that I've learned, if you're losing hope, you're not doing enough. Each one of us, by doing just one tiny thing, together make an incredibly powerful whole. We have so many tools at our fingertips, literally at our fingertips today, to be active, to be part of a movement, whether it's on social media and sharing, being able to send funds to people on the front line, being able to actually show up and gather and put your bodies in front or on top of the gears of the machine that sometimes needs to be stopped. Set your intention on the way you want to see the world to be, and then keep living your life in a meaningful way for yourself. Don't fall into despair. Part of the suck of the game is for us to feel despair, and they want you to feel despair, because when you feel despair, you don't act. So just keep on keeping on.